So, if you're just now joining us, this is the Montgomery County Educational Service Center's first ever pilot project of a high school virtual internship. We have students from about 7 different school districts with us who have been interning with the ESC and Learn to Earn Dayton for the last 5 weeks. So, throughout their experience, they learned about different in demand jobs, learned about some of our partners and things we've done to creatively get students excited about careers. But most importantly, we've tried to create opportunities to hear their perspectives and get feedback from them. So I don't know about the interns, but I have had a wonderful time learning more about them and their perspectives in the different districts they represent. I'm now going to go ahead and introduce our 2 college fellows for Miami University who have been with the ESC and Learn to Earn for the last 9 weeks, 5 of which they have been helping spearhead this program. So, Miss Heff, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then Miss Snyder, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Sammy Heft. I am going into my senior year at Miami. I am studying both math and math education with the goal of becoming a high school math teacher in the near future. So I will be starting my student teaching this coming fall, and I'm excited to take all that I've learned about career initiatives and bring them into the classroom from a teacher's perspective next.
And then I'm Julia Snyder, same as Sammy. I am both a mathematics and integrated mathematics double major with the hopes of also becoming a high school math teacher. I'm going to be a junior this year though, so I will be able to do my field work now and hopefully take this whole experience and be able to use that while doing so.
Thank you for introducing yourselves. I am now going to share my screen and walk our guests through some of the experiences the students have had so far. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my internship session 10 slide? Thank you, Miss Kingray. All right, so today's agenda is pretty straightforward. We're doing our introduction. We're welcoming you all to the presentation portion of the Inside Dayton program. And then the run of show is pretty straightforward. We're going to have 4 different groups present on different topics that our region's Business Advisory Council was interested in digging deeper into. Those 4 topics are career fairs. How can we get students better prepared and more interested in participating in career fairs and getting more out of those types of career connections experiences? The second topic is math proficiency. One of Learn to Earn Dayton's big goals is how can we improve math proficiency in our region. So that is a topic that Group 2 will be covering. Make sure that we have everyone muted. And then our third group is going to talk about Fafsa completion. So that is going to be about how we as a region can explain what Fafsa is to parents, students, and community members to increase our region's Fafsa completion. And then last but certainly not least, our fourth group will be discussing job shadowing and how we can enable more of career connections opportunities like job shadowing to take place. So at that point in today's presentation, around 4 o'clock, we'll be kicking all of our community leaders and district representatives out of the Zoom, and then we're going to be debriefing the final hour or so of this internship opportunity. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions? Okay, and I don't want to forget that we have about 77,000 students that our Business Advisory Council represents, and we have about 15 or so students in this internship program representing the districts you see on your screen. So we've asked students to put their district next to their name, so when they're presenting, you can see which district they're representing. But it's a great representative swath across our region, and to be completely honest, as the manager of this internship program, I've been blown away by their commitment, their professionalism, and their attitudes towards what many of which is their first job. And for the record, we are paying each of these student interns $400 at the completion of this internship. So as long as they don't botch this presentation, no pressure, right, everybody? We're going to be paying them for their time today. And I'm completely kidding. This is their 10th session. We're just happy that they have stayed committed with this work. But some of the things that we discussed during the last 5 weeks was things like employability skills and just how to do a virtual meeting with maybe a leader like yourself watching today. We also tried to remind them to think critically because they're getting into a world of disinformation and different perspectives, and oftentimes there there isn't exactly common ground often met, and they're giving us feedback on how we can improve our districts and get more kids into some of our in-demand industries. So each week we would have an overarching goal and a big question. This is actually from, I want to say, our second week, where we started having them do aptitude and interest assessments so that they could look at what they were good at and what they're interested in, and then what their role could be when they go back to their district. Some of the speakers that we had speak over the last 5 weeks was Alex Cedar, giving them a perspective of an advanced manufacturer and what happens in advanced manufacturing in the Miami Valley and just how many jobs are open in that industry. We also had Katie Carey from Close the Work give them resume building tips, interview skill recommendations, and just teaching them a little bit about what it means to get hired into your first job after, of course, this one. We had folks from Sinclair talk about what does it mean to go to Sinclair and why are they a great option for our region. And then we had folks like Eugene Frazier from the Skilled Trades Apprenticeship Coordinators Group talk about what does it mean to be in a apprenticeship in the skilled trades. We had folks like some of our larger employers like CareSource come in and talk to the students about what does it mean to work in IT. And we're just really, really excited to continue building these relationships. So hopefully this isn't the last time we do a program like this, because while we showed them a lot of videos and we had big speakers come in, there's always room for improvement. We had them watch documentaries about the future of work, about Dayton, and I don't know if many of you have seen it yet, but it was an Academy Award-winning documentary on Fuyao called American Factory, which they also watched and debriefed as a group. So all that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get to the part you're probably here for, to hear from the students. So without further ado, we're going to have our very first group go ahead and present, and I'm going to turn on the settings so multiple people can share. And if there isn't someone from your group that's here to present their slides, you're just going to have to wing it, because that's what many of us have to do when we give presentations, right? So can we give some words of encouragement in the chat? Welcome our first group who will be presenting on career fairs. Go ahead, group one.
Well, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Inside Dayton Career Fair group. My name is Olivia Wills. I'm from Carlisle High School, and I will be going into my junior year this year.
Hi, I'm Amanda Kingery. I am at Centerville High School, and I will be a sophomore. And I've been involved in theater and the performing arts for nearly 10 years now, and my goal is to become a history teacher.
So the big question that we were tasked to answer was, why are career fairs important? In our personal opinion, high schoolers are on the brink of one of the biggest decisions of their lives. And a lot of students are very unsure of what they want to do and don't know all of the options that are out there. This leads many students to head into college without a clear plan of what they want to do. 66% of students enroll in a higher education after high school. However, only 25% of those who enroll in college finish their bachelor's degree. That means that around 75% of students who enroll in college are leaving without a degree and just basically wasting the money that they spent and wasting time that they should have been developing a career. These students are often dropping out because they are dissatisfied with their major, and career fairs can really help in boosting confidence about a major or about a career that they'll be able to pick. So, what can we do now to ensure a brighter future for the workforce?
So what is the future? Who do we market them towards? Well, we think that career fairs should be used throughout middle school and high school, because not only is there that big decision at the end of high school, but there's a lot of decisions building up to that big decision. What opportunities are available to those students? Not only can students decide, what high school they're going to, what career programs they may do in that high school, but also just the grades and the test scores that they need to fulfill the opportunities that they're interested in. A lot of students don't see a connection between the test they're taking and the homework they're doing and the opportunities that are available to them after high school. A lot of students don't put forth the effort. They aren't engaged or involved because they think it doesn't mean anything, but it does. And by the time they get to senior year and they realize, oh, I want to do this, they also realize, oh, well, I don't have the grades or the test scores to be able to go into a good college. I don't have that because I didn't understand that I needed those throughout all of high school. So starting it young and helping students, have a motivation and a goal can really help them be engaged and be ready as they go throughout their high school career.
So, what can we do to improve career fairs? The first thing that we came up with was intuitive scheduling. So intuitive scheduling is basically just making sure that the scheduling and the time of the career fair is compatible with the student's schedule. Time and location of a career fair is very important. And if career fairs are scheduled at the wrong time, it creates an extra burden for students. So our ideas were scheduling them during or directly after school so that it doesn't interfere with sports or it doesn't interfere with anything else that students might have going on at that time. And also, in my experience, when students have something that gets them out of class or gets them just up and walking around, it really improves excitement.
Catering. So this is not an entirely new idea. However, we wanted to stress how highly effective food can be for motivating high schoolers. If you want more students to be attending your event, having food there is a sure way to do so. Also, even if your career fair is a mandatory event, say it's during the school day, having food and advertising that food makes students more engaged, they're more excited, it ups morale of everyone involved, and especially if you have professionals there who are spending their whole day to be at that event, providing food makes just everyone more excited, makes everyone up, have higher morale, and I mean, who doesn't love cookies? Our next idea is education-based handouts. Now, again, this is not an entirely new idea, but we wanted to show how it can be implemented into career fairs to up student excitement and buy-in. So first, you can invite the professionals and companies attending your event to bring any handouts they may have, such as pens or erasers or paper weights or whatever it may be, so that students have something to remember the event by. They can take it home, and later on when they're thinking and considering their options, they can remember, oh, I know that company. I remember learning about that. That might actually be a great option for me. Another thing that you can do at a career fair is to have a lottery. So, as students enter, they get a ticket and there's a prize drawn at the end of the day. That prize can be from those companies there or from the high school or whatever. But really that just increases student excitement and buy-in. Students are excited to be there. They know that this is more than just a boring school assembly. This is something interesting and they're engaged. They're not just viewing everything going on, but they want to be involved in it. And that's really what having handouts there and prizes can really do. So our final idea is different ways that you can do career fairs. How can you organize them? So there's the traditional idea of having, the one big event at the end of the year, but you can break that one big event into smaller ones throughout the year. So these mini career fairs would be focused on particular groups of careers, say maybe like a healthcare-based career fair or a math and science-based career fair, or careers in the arts-based career fair, so that these are smaller events and they are focused on those, so that when students are attending who might not know what careers they're interested in, so one big career fair would be a little overwhelming because they don't really know where to start, they don't know what tables to go to, they don't know who to talk to, but they know, oh, well, I'm really good at math and science. So going to this career fair, I know that these are going to be careers that are connected to things that I'm interested in. Now, it is a big ask for a district that might not be doing any career fairs currently to be doing, a bunch throughout the year. So another way that you can implement that is to still have the one big career fair at the end of the year, but have small classes and after school activities building up to that career fair, such as career cafes, where students can learn about careers, learn what questions to ask professionals, and perhaps take an aptitude assessment, such as science, so they know, oh, these are my aptitudes, these are my interests, this is how they connect, these are what careers go with those aptitudes and interests. So they're ready for that career fair at the end of the year. They know questions to ask, and they know where to start. They know which careers will work well with them. This sustains interest throughout the year, so it has them interested and really getting excited for that one big event because they've been working towards this throughout the year. So our final idea in this category is to increase student involvement. So not just in the event itself, but in planning these events. Not only will this help students who are planning it to learn organizing skills and leadership skills and how to plan these events, but it gets them excited about being involved in these things. When you're part of planning something, it makes you so much more excited because you know what's going into it. You know what's involved in this, you know what's involved and what's going to go happen at this event. And that excitement is contagious. They'll spread it to their friends, talking about it. Hey, this such and such is happening, and I know you guys will enjoy it because there's this and this and this happening, and I really think you guys should go. And it's a great way to get students involved. And help students learn about it. And this can be implemented such as having weeks throughout the year focused on certain careers, or there could be an after school club focused on learning about career pathways. There's a bunch of different ways that this could be used, but we really think that having students involved in planning these things would be super beneficial for students at your school.
Now, what are some other ways that career fairs can benefit students other than educating them about careers? Well, when students go to a career fair, it allows them to practice and become comfortable speaking with the hiring managers, and it better prepares them for the interview process. Students can take advantage of this time and utilize successful interview tactics, such as having confidence when they're speaking, and it also helps them have a set plan for their career.
So what is our big takeaway that we want you guys to take from our presentation? Well, when students are connected to better career opportunities and in-demand jobs, the community benefits. And how do you connect those students to career opportunities and in-demand jobs? Through career fairs.
So, do we have any questions?
Don't be shy, guests. We've had them work for the last 5 weeks. I see a great presentation in the chat. Would anyone like to hop off mute or throw a question into the chat? If not,
Yeah.
I will pepper them with them.
Yeah, Brian, I've got a question. Yeah,
Go
so
ahead, Kayla.
first of all, great job. This was very insightful. Did put a great deal of thought into it. So from someone who is on the planning side of career fairs, did you stumble across anything that you think we shouldn't do, we should stay away from or avoid in your research?
Well, from actually just personal experience and things that we were looking into, when you're planning a career fair, don't plan it for hopefully not after school. It might have to be, but also not on a weekend, because when that becomes an extra burden for students, who have to figure out transportation, they have to figure out how that's going to work into their schedule, especially if they're working, especially if they're doing any hobbies or extracurriculars. Not only will it decrease attendance, but also decrease the way students feel about your career fair. It'll make it more of a burden and make it less exciting. But Olivia, do you have anything else you?
Nope, you answered the question great. I agree with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kayla, for that question from the Dayton Regional Manufacturers Association. I have a question for Jayani, who is also in this group. I know she's doing some other summer educational opportunities, and that's what took a second. Jayani, my question for you is: in working with your two partners in this working group, is there anything that in particular that leapt out at you that you would like to share with this group? Like, is there anything about career fairs that you'd like our audience to know? And it can be as simple as we should have more of them. Thank you, Jayani. All right, I am going to have everyone do a little round of applause on the screen for our group one. Thank you, group one. You did an excellent job.
Hey,
And
Brian, you
yes.
have two people with their hands raised right now.
Oh, thank you. Just jump right at it. Somebody unmute and ask your question.
Great presentation. I had a question regarding for the group. What were your thoughts, perhaps, or ideas on virtual career fairs, considering the environment we're in? Did you have any ideas?
Well, one thing that we want to make sure with virtual career fairs is just to make them as engaging as possible. Because when students are not allowed to get up and move their bodies and interact with other people, it can make it really hard to concentrate. So just making them as interactive as possible, making them very exciting, and making sure that we just keep them as engaged as possible.
Great question and very
Yes.
pertinent.
Great presentation, everyone. I just wanted to ask the question of what type of incentives would you like to see? Like if you went to a career fair, what would be an incentive that you wouldn't think would be there, but you would be so excited to see beyond pens and pencils and notepads? Like what incentives would you all like to see? I'm curious.
Well, even more than just like incentives of things you can take home, but cool experiences. Like perhaps, I mean, for maybe younger ages, having a like fire truck there, or some like an engaging experience that students can go into that they'll really remember, you know, not just like something they can take home, but also something that, you know, they'll remember and like, oh, that was cool. That is an incentive that I think would really motivate students.
I'm wondering if maybe older students, like high school students or middle school students, would like a carnival, like a career fair carnival where you go on rides based on the, you know, career you're interested in, right? So maybe there's an engineering ride for engineers and some kind of computer tech ride or activity or game. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in coming back to this group, Brian, and just kind of figuring some things out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, they are education consultants, paid education consultants. So with that, if anybody has any questions that come to mind, throw your question for group one into the chat. They'll keep an eye on it. But we are running a little bit behind, but that's all right. We're going to have group two kick us off into our next presentation. But with that, I'd like the Miami University Fellow to kind of set the stage for group two, because what's so innovative about this internship model is that you had Learn to Earn Dayton and Montgomery County Educational Service Center staff supported by Miami University students who then supported high school students. So it was a multi-generational program. So I'm going to have each of the fellows kind of welcome their group before they kick it off. So can we have our group two mentor, if you will, kick us off?
Yes, so I don't want to steal the thunder by spoiling our project too much, but My group is going to look at the 8th grade math proficiency. And one of the things that I thought was really cool working with these students to talk about was, because I'm going to be a future math teacher, I was like, oh, this will be right up my alley. I will be certified for 7th through 12th grade. So it's something that you'll hear them talk about is still relating to high school and what they're doing now. So with that, I will hand it over to our first speaker today. Mahir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. This is our presentation about 8th grade math proficiency, which also might have some tidbits about high school information as well. I'm Mahir.
I'm Eric.
I'm Medina.
And then our last group member, who unfortunately was not able to make it today yet, is Rahima. So we'll see if she pops in at the end, but she was also a contributing member.
Our goal, achieving 100% math proficiency on the Ohio Math Assessment. What we will cover, the current levels for meeting proficiency, importance of math proficiency in the long run, and initiatives to boost student achievements in mathematics.
Our first section is current levels for meeting math proficiency. So for 8th grade math in the year 2015, our lowest percent of proficient or above was Dayton at belonged to Dayton at 25%, while our lowest percent of proficient or above for 2019 was for Northridge at 22%, and our highest for both years was Oakwood at 97 and 89% respectively. And our county has also always been in the 50s and above the 50% range for students who are proficient, while our state has been at least 60% or above, with the highest for the state being a 63% and the highest for the county being a 57%, both in the same year of 2019.
So why is this important? By working hard to be proficient in math, students can take a more advanced course like Algebra 1 or Geometry in 8th grade. This allows students to take other classes that they're interested in, as they will have already completed their required math credits before senior year. And doing well in 8th grade math also builds better study habits for high school curriculum. In math terms, that could be like learning how to study and prepare for math exams in 8th grade can carry over into high school math tests and other standardized testing like the SAT and ACT. Also, the fundamentals learned will build foundations for students when learning future and more difficult math concepts. And in the far future, being proficient in math is more helpful than not being proficient in math, as lots of concepts and work required in many professions, especially in STEM, require a good understanding of math.
Engaging interest in math. We need to inform students that math skills are not just needed to pass their test, because in reality, their level of math skill greatly impacts their life and career. The reason for engaging interest is because students want to find a purpose in what they're learning and how it impacts them beyond school. How could we connect math skills to career interests? We could have teachers creating content that relates to students' careers. We could also create hands-on projects to show the use of math, how hands-on activities work. It gives students a break from the repetitive notes and could generate more interest in mathematics from my experience. Another reason is that notes and classwork are helpful, but a lot of it decreases interest in math. Next slide. From my experience, there are instances where the student understood the function to solve the problem during class, but then the teacher gives homework and the students need assistance after class hours. Most of the time, written instructions on textbook is not enough and they need the mentor to be there. And we have to keep in mind that majority of parents will not be able to assist their child. This is why we need to continue about the need for extra help. Study halls. Students can work on assignments while still having access to their teachers. These are around the class period or an hour long. peer tutoring, we have National Honor Society, which permits high school students with a set GPA score of 3 or 4.0 higher to tutor other students one-on-one. Since teachers are not always available to sit with each student individually, the high school students' purpose in the National Honor Society is elevating in academics, leadership, and community engagement because they're working towards a scholarship. Mentorship program, which instead of a high school student, a college student can assist with studying and provide information, guidance, and encouragement of the student's aspirations for college. Online classes. This idea includes the teacher recording a video showing how they solve the equations on paper. It could be presented on an online class website where the student can continue to review the lesson again and practice on assignments the teacher gave during class any time of the school year, meaning information is always available to the student. Next slide. Timing. Students need time to practice what they need to improve. After quizzes, students receive the score that will be on the gradebook, where I suggest that if the student failed the quiz they took in the first place, they should be allowed to have time to study and have a retake. With this approach, it is possible that the student will have the motivation to improve their math skills just because they needed more time to understand the lesson. Now we are approaching state testing. What I suggest is that after the fall state testings, the student should be giving a data about what lessons they should improve so that they score higher for the spring state testing. The ways the data could be useful is that now students have an opportunity to improve their math skills because they know what lessons they were successful and what lessons they need to work on. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
All right, go ahead and drop your questions into the chat, or feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask our group 2 some questions.
Great presentation. I wanted to know if during the course of you looking into the lag in math proficiency, if you were able to identify specifically why there was the lower scores.
From one of the Ohio, I can't remember what it was, but it was an Ohio website. It was because like not much, some of the students were participating much. That's why that's why I added the interest. This is why we need to include the interest in math. So we have to improve on that.
Thank you. I also have a question. You guys did a great presentation first, I want to say. My question was, when you think about peer tutoring, do you believe that peers, students should be paid? Should we, pay them for their time or provide some other type of incentive to encourage them to provide support to their peers?
Thank you for the question. I think like it could count as volunteer hours or like for like NHS or some other organization, and that would provide like a good enough incentive for many students to like tutor.
Hi, my name is Chad Wee, and I'm the superintendent for Mad River Local Schools. Hey, Medina, just wanted to give you a shout out. Great job. You and your group were amazing. I'm really proud of you. So students that presented out, just a question, because this has been something that I've dealt with for the 23 years I've been in education, and that's the math stigma and just a feeling that many students have that they just are not good in math. I love the ideas that you guys presented out for your support. Some of those pieces as far as peer tutoring, mentorship, study halls, utilizing that time. But I'm just curious, how do you feel like we can break this stigma? Because there's so many students that are just inherently fearful of math and they feel like they can't do it and therefore limit their opportunities in the future. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
From my experience, from like the friends and other students I hear from my school, they don't look at math as like, oh, I need this for my college, because some of them are not planning to go to college. they look at math like, okay, do I need this for my job? So maybe career interest is one, but another thing is like, there's not much time in class, but if the teachers if we did have like Canvas still, like we did for the 2020 and 2021 school year, maybe if the students kept going back and review the lessons, maybe, and go back to the assignments on their own time, they would feel more confident that, okay, I can pass this quiz or I can pass this test.
Also, more hands-on activities could be like helpful to boost student interest in math, since like in my experience, math has just been like a day of notes, and then after we're done with notes, we just do, like a classwork thing where we just do practice problems. So I think especially in like middle school, where like it's like not high school yet, so students aren't like as worried about their grades. Like a more fun activity would be like helpful in boosting interest in math.
Following up on what Eric said, I remember when I was in 6th grade, we did use math in science class, but it was for a roller coaster project. We used a foam tube and we used a marble. What we first did is that we figured out how to do the math, and whoever got it correct, they could start on the project, which gave them extra points. So that's another way of engaging interest in math.
Do we have any other questions for group 2? I apologize, my computer crashed, so I'm talking to you from my iPhone, but any other questions for group 2? All right, seeing no other questions, unless I'm missing something in the chat, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce group 3. They had a particularly sticky subject. This is a policy wonkish subject matter, but it's so important. And it is about FAFSA completion and how we as a region can improve FAFSA completion. So our students, some of which had never even heard of FAFSA, dove deep on the subject, learned a lot about it, and just brought a lot of great critical thinking to this subject. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce group 2. Go ahead and take it away.
Hello, everyone. We are the Fafsa Group, and today we will be discussing FAFSA completion rates and what exactly FAFSA is. I'm Ashita Mantry. I attend Centerville High School, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Annika Vukasinovich. I attend Chaminade Julian High School, and I am a junior.
My name is Lokesh Devera. I attend Centerville High School, and I'm a junior.
I'm Tyra Holly. I attend Wayne High School, and I'm a sophomore.
Our intention for this slideshow is to overall raise awareness of the FAFSA program and give our opinions on how to bolster the FAFSA completion rate in our region.
FAFSA is a free application for federal student aid. The form determines your financial aid for the government in most colleges. The form collects personal and financial information about students and parents and applies a formula to determine whether you are eligible for financial aid. FAFSA is important because it provides financial aid applicants to attend college or other further study paths in the form of Pell Grant, which offers money for higher education without the need to pay back government. With the post-pandemic, it is more important than ever to fill out FAFSA. 44% of parents saying they cannot afford their child's tuition due to unexpected pandemic.
FAFSA completion rates and what it looks like for our region. About 54% of students in our region complete the FAFSA annually. And 56% of our nation's students say they can no longer afford their tuition tab as freshmen. Overall, I feel that is more important than ever to fill out the FAFSA due to the post-pandemic, as it could help most students cover their tuition expenses for college and bolster the rates of college completion overall.
This is the FAFSA completion chart for our early college academies within the state of Ohio. And as you can see, compared to the next chart I'm about to show you, the completion rates for FAFSA are incredibly higher statistically due to the more focus on college and the resources that they are offered in early college academies to raise awareness about FAFSA and other scholarships and necessities that they can use to cover their tuition. Next slide, please. Can you go back? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so these are the high schools within Montgomery County and their FAFSA completion rates. And as you can see, compared to schools with a higher affluence, such as like counties as such as Brookville and Butler, have a higher FAFSA completion rate due to they have more access to these and they are more aware of these, as compared to districts such as Meadowdale and Trotwood that have lower FAFSA completion rates and that don't meet their annual goal. Next slide. So this can be described as an equity issue. This is an equity issue due to disproportionate FAFSA completion rates within statistically affluent communities and lower income areas. A possible solution that we have discussed within our group is a peer-to-peer support group from graduates of these local high schools that can come into school and facilitate FAFSA awareness campaigns in partnership with colleges within the nearby areas.
Is FAFSA a one-time thing? Do you have to fill it out each year, and how easy is it to reapply? FAFSA is not a one-time thing. You do have to fill it out each year, and it's extremely easy to reapply. You just have to update your forms and financial information prior to resubmission.
What is the amount given through FAFSA? How much is it awarded? And what does this actually look like? So the average amount given to a student is $9,000, less than half of that in the form of grants. According to NCESC, the National Center of Education Statistics, the maximum amount awarded to a recipient is tens of thousands of dollars per year. The common practice of FAFSA is that the recipient's school will give your loan money by crediting it to the recipient's school account to pay tuition, fees, room and board, and other authorized charges. If you have money left over through FAFSA, they will award it back to you in the form of a reimbursement check. These financial disbursements of FAFSA take place 10 days before class or as late as 30 days after classes begin.
What do existing FAFSA campaigns look like and how effective are they? According to NCS Education Government, 1 in 4 students did not complete FAFSA due to lack of information. In the past, FAFSA emailed guardians regarding their child's FAFSA form completion, although this method has proved to be ineffective as most just disregard it or put it to the side as they don't have enough information on FAFSA.
Our observations. FAFSA is a very useful resource for high school for higher education, providing a plethora of resources for students transitioning to college. Filling out the FAFSA form should be a graduation requirement in the state of Ohio. FAFSA can bolster the percentage of students that attend college without financial trouble.
Solution and awareness ideas, recommendations. You can use social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram. FAFSA assembles facilitates within high schools in the Montgomery County area in partnership with local colleges. Introduce a peer-to-peer support program where college students talk to high school seniors on the benefits of FAFSA completions and develop partnerships with local colleges to promote FAFSA on the border scale.
Thank you for listening, and does anyone have any questions?
Great job, Group 3. I really am impressed with you taking on such a dense policy subject, but important nonetheless. Do any of our guests have any questions for Group 3?
Great job and much needed presentation, especially around FAFSA. Did you guys have any ideas in terms of getting parents involved? Because that's one of the barriers sometimes students face, especially because it involves their personal information. So did you have any ideas around getting parents involved?
We were discussing this earlier in our process of making this presentation, and our idea was to have like certain events to like like uh have parents more involved in the FAFSA completion, such as like parent-teacher conferences, so it's more involved and like they sit down and talk to the parents one-on-one with their child, as well as like a peer-to-peer program where the students and parents can sit down with students in college that have filled out the FAFSA in their given community to like talk to them about the FAFSA completion, like one-on-one with parents and the students that are seniors going into college. So it would give them more information on FAFSA.
Great work. Does anyone else have any other questions? We've got some really nice comments about how this continues to be a challenge for adults, and thanking you guys for your wonderful presentation, and would have appreciated this insight when they completed their FAFSA. Do any of our other guests have any questions, comments, words of encouragement for Group 3? All right, if you think of any, go ahead and throw it into the chat. I just want to say that, you know, this is a problem that plagues our country, our state, and Southwest Ohio, and to have groups of students like you all from various backgrounds and different districts, both rural, urban, suburban, it's just so exciting to see you collaborate and come up with recommendations. So I just realized my camera's off. Sorry, everybody. So I'm now going to go ahead and introduce Group 4. So can we get our next Miami Fellow to introduce herself and give a little bit of context about the next presentation we're going to see?
All right, again, my name is Julia Snyder from Miami. My group is going to focus on job shadowing, and I kind of took on this group because I'm from the area. I'm actually from Westchester. I went to Lakota West. So I kind of know more familiar with the area and the opportunities with it. And kind of the background behind this group was we were focusing on career exploration and how do we provide experiences for students to have an idea of what they're interested in post high school. So we decided to then focus on job shadowing and kind of the benefits behind that. So I will share my screen. So let me share. All right, present, and then I will let my group take it from here.
Good afternoon and welcome to our presentation. I am Methany from Centerville High School.
I am Chanyan and I attend Kettering High School.
I am Hannah Wenzel from Kettering High School.
And we are here today to talk about job shadowing. More specifically, we would like to discuss how schools can make students more aware of job shadow opportunities, what comes after a job shadow, and also alternatives for careers with no job shadowing options. Firstly, we have to talk about the target age group for job shadowing. We recommend that students be introduced to the concept of job shadowing in middle school, and then have the concept reinforced during high school. This way, middle schoolers can know what to look out for as they grow older, and high schoolers can have a reminder of the opportunities to get involved in their field of interest. How can schools create more awareness and opportunities for job shadowing? And how can schools assist after a job shadow is complete? One of our suggestions is career fairs. In these events, volunteers and speakers can mention job shadowing openings in their respective organizations, and they can also talk about their personal job shadow experiences. So if they've ever had a job shadowing experience of their own, they can talk about what they learned and how they took advantage of what they learned. At career fairs, volunteers and speakers can mention possible volunteer opportunities and internships that follow the job shadow in that particular field, as well as career pathways and colleges for students that want to continue in that field after high school.
Along with what Medley has said, handbooks, PDFs, and an online website will be an easy access to different information about careers and job shadowing opportunities. Much like the program of studies, which is handed out at the beginning of every school year, showing what to study and the grades, they should include job shadowing as a course of study outside of school or inside of school. This includes the next step after job shadowing, such as volunteering opportunities, internships, and job shadows that aligns with their certain career interests.
Another recommendation is youth programs. There are programs such as Youth Career Services 365 that allow students to job shadow in certain local businesses. If a student has completed a shadow and has decided that they would like more experience in a particular business or a particular field, these programs may also have job opportunities once the students have shadowed.
Going along with the youth programs, schools should set up opportunity boards that post job shadows, volunteer opportunities, internships, and jobs that are open in that current time. This could also be in a Google Slide format to send to every student throughout the high school with the different requirements of the job shadowing. In addition to announce it during morning announcements for anyone who wants to participate, and should be updated regularly. Now, focusing on careers, many schools have career readiness classes, although many schools don't. Schools should implement classes on career readiness through summer, virtual, in-person, or as a class course to better prepare students for their future academic goals, including creating resumes, college research, scholarships, Fafsa, and the workforce that align with their interests or aptitudes. But how do we find other opportunities for those who are unable to job shadow certain careers?
Are there ways to set up a virtual job shadowing opportunity? Yes, you can set up virtual tours on either Zoom, or you can have live streams on like YouTube, or you can have companies make videos of what the job's about in their normal day. And you can see through a live stream or Zoom what it is like even if you can't go in person. What are some ways for virtual students to come out with the same experience as in-person students? If businesses give all the same information to virtual students as they do in-person students and show the same like experiences, the same normal work day, then they can come out with the same experience and the best experience they can. Will getting to interview someone in the field help? Yes, talking to professionals or having career fairs can help give students an idea of what they want to do and if they want to job shadow or intern somewhere. Our suggestions are to make virtual tours and job shadowing opportunities, for companies to make videos or set up interviews for those who can't participate in job shadowing opportunities in person or don't have the transportation to get there. Set up career fairs, get speakers in the classrooms where there's less students and the students can ask questions and interact with the professionals on a smaller scale. Career exploration classes offered in more schools and districts and have summer options for the students who can't take it during a normal school year because they have too many classes already.
Thank you for letting us present to you today, and we hope that our suggestions were helpful. Are there any questions?
Go ahead and hop off mute if you've got any questions for our group 4.
This is Deb Jacobs from Dayton Children's. Hey guys, this was wonderful. And I have to tell you, I really love your ideas. And, you know, being from a healthcare career thinking about healthcare careers, we have often wondered, how could we get students, especially young students who might not fit our age, to actually be working in the hospital, some great experiences. So I love your ideas on how we can connect to make you aware of them. I'm just wondering if you might have any ideas on how we might make, say, virtual presentations more, I don't know, just better, just something that students could really relate to and get better information on, because I think that that would be a really good option.
All right, group 4, who wants to take a jump at that question?
So maybe to make it more relatable, if you have younger people who, let's say a teenager that's like volunteering there, if you ask them to help out with a virtual tour or something, then that could make people more, younger people more involved, and it would be more relatable because it'd be closer to their age.
Oh, Hannah, you are a wise young lady. That's a great idea.
So Hannah's saying bring some near peers in. Good work, Hannah. Any other thoughts, Chenyan or Methny, or really anyone from that group?
Another recommendation may be to have like a kind of FAQ session, kind of where like students can ask questions from a healthcare professional, so that way students can have more of a kind of experience where they talk and get to interact with a healthcare professional and get their questions answered at the same time. That may increase engagement.
Well, Methany, I love that idea as well. We would love to do that. I have many healthcare professionals from Dayton Children's. I mean, being pediatric, we happen to like kids. And so that would be something we would definitely be interested in. Something else I had wondered about is, can you guys think of any good, maybe like simulations that would get people enticed into considering a healthcare career?
I think there's like several different games out there that includes like medical hands-on work, like surgeries and all those things. I think if anyone wanted to be in like a healthcare, they should start out like with games, and then they should participate in those games, like computerized games that engage their interest.
I'm really sorry. I had a hard time hearing that. Do you mind repeating? I heard the word games, but could you repeat what you said? I apologize.
Yeah. I said like students or kids, they should engage in like participate in like computerized games that are already created, such as like surgeries and like virtual, like there's like simulations that we did in science classes that have like like we did chemistry where you just put in some kind of chemical into another one in like a virtual simulation, and it's fun to do that way. And then I think you should do like these kind of games where it just develops in healthcare to engage the students.
That's excellent ideas. Thank you very much.
Well, that is our last presentation, but we've got a lot of movers and shakers from around the state representing different school districts, higher ed, and statewide organizations, independent industries. I've had access to these students for the last 5 weeks, and they have been so honest and critical, and I've loved their feedback, and I don't want to, hoard them. So if anybody of our guests today has any general questions, maybe something you've been toying around with your district or within your industry, or an issue that you've been working on in education, I'm giving you free reign to pepper them with questions. They're very good at thinking on their feet. I'm wondering if I'm dealing with all college students masquerading as high school students. Do any of our guests have any questions for them, though? And if not, you can send me an email and I'll send it to them. I see many notes from different guests today, and again, this is being recorded, so we're going to share this out with the rest of our Business Advisory Council. If everyone can go ahead and give a round of applause and say thank you in our chat. We are just so impressed by our student interns for being our education consultants for the last 5 weeks. We got our guests out a little time in advance. So if you don't have any questions, feel free to leap out, and we're going to wrap up this internship experience and do some debriefing with the students. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and we're going to kind of debrief this experience with our interns. So thanks again to our guests.